Hello everyone, my name is the RetroDen and welcome to a brand new video, and today we're talking about my gaming backlog update for March of 2025, and we have a lot to get into, but before that I want to remind you all that my backlogged profile is still public, and if you want to go check on a live basis what I'm playing and what I'm finishing and my actual reviews on games, you can go there and check that out for yourself on a daily basis, and the link will be in the description as always. So without further ado, let's jump right into Monster Hunter Wilds, the game that finished February for me and started March up until the 4th of March. Now, I didn't finish this game yet. I decided to put a stop to it mid-playthrough because the story was just dragging on too much and other things caught my attention, so I decided to just drop it for now, and I didn't pick it up until now, and I think I might not pick it up even in April or May, but I enjoyed a lot of what I played. I clocked around 20 hours up until this point, and I think it's a really good game, but I'm actually hoping for some performance patches and some other updates before I jump back into it. Right after that, I decided to play another playthrough of Scarlet and Violet, this time on my Pokemon Scarlet copy, in which I played through the normal game and completed around, let's say, 70% of the Pokédex, but I quite enjoyed playing the game again. Not my Pokemon game of choice, but I decided that since I had it sitting around and I might need the Pokemon for a living dex or something else, I just breezed through the game, beat everything I could. Didn't do any of the post-game stuff, to be honest with y'all, but that's one less game out of the backlog that I have to worry with now. Right after that, we have a game that I already talked about on this channel and that I decided to dedicate an entire video to, which is Devil May Cry 1. Now, Devil May Cry 1, there's a lot to be said about it. It's old, but it's still really good considering the year it came out and how it holds up in 2025. But I really enjoyed my playthrough to it, and I think a lot of that is due to it not being that long. I clocked in my first playthrough of Devil May Cry 1 in under 10 hours, and I think that's a really fair time for a game that might not hold your interest for too long. Now, I didn't go deep into it and play more playthroughs with all the weapons unlocked and messing with the higher difficulties, as I wanted to move on to the further games in the series, but I quite enjoyed what I played. As I said in my original video, which you can check out, I enjoyed all the caveats that made it look like it was actually going to be the first Resident Evil 4 game, and that was certainly something to enjoy. Now, the action wasn't as deep as I was expecting, but as I also said in the video about Devil May Cry 1, I know that that is fixed in the other entries of the franchise, such as Devil May Cry 3, 4, and 5. Moving on, I am going to group these two games together because of the reason that I actually dropped them. And let's talk about Lords of the Fallen 2023 and Salt and Sanctuary. Now, if you know anything about both of these games, you would know that both of them are actually kind of Souls-like games. Lords of the Fallen is a Souls-like in a more traditional manner, but Assault and Sanctuary is a Souls-like with a lot of Metroidvania elements. I decided after playing these two games and not being hooked like in the minimum way, because I dropped them almost like after 1 hour of starting them, I decided that for the moment I am not in the headspace to play From Software or Souls-like games. Most specifically Souls-like games, as I think that I really like From Software's games, but I tend to fall off hard when it's Souls-like games that don't capture the actual soul essence of what From Software can do with their games. So that was the reason I decided to drop these two, and I just put them in the folder in my Steam library that said not the vibe right now, because I am not discarding them completely, but for now I think I am good when it comes to them. Right after that, I decided to finally head into the second entry of the Devil May Cry franchise, which was worth playing. Now, I skipped Devil May Cry 2 because I know that game is a mess, and I'm not trying to waste my time with games that are particularly bad, so I played the classic Devil May Cry 3, a prequel to Devil May Cry 1, and I really enjoyed this more than Devil May Cry 1. I have some gripes with it and the design of some areas and some parts of the combat, but overall I have to say it was a very nice experience, knowing what leads up to Devil May Cry 1 and what builds up into the story of DMC for and 5. Now, I really enjoyed the level design. The level design, I think, was one of the peak aspects of Devil May Cry 3, as the tower that you traverse throughout the entire game was really charming and unique. Every place you were going into was different from the one before it, and I think it really made for an intense exploration aspect in this game that made it actually quite rewarding to go around finding different stuff that was around the map. Now, the weapons in this game were also pretty unique, even though some or most of the times I usually only used the same weapons, which were the Rebellion and the two swords Agni and Rudra. And if you know anything about DMC3, all these weapons come from bosses, and bosses are a huge aspect in this game, as they tend to be one of the most remembered aspects of DMC. And I quite enjoyed the bosses of DMC3, even though I think some of them have some design choices that are not that good, but they were a product of the time the game was actually developed, so I can actually excuse that, and I'll actually develop my opinion on them once I finally get one to DMC 4 and 5, which shouldn't be too far away from now. Now, I beat the game at around 10 to 14 hours, and I really enjoyed the lore outcomes of the game and how it built up the lore for DMC1, but I didn't enjoy some of the last moments of the game, and I think the game could be cut a little bit short when it comes to its ending, but overall a very nice experience. And now let's talk about the last two games of the month, starting with Katamari Damacy Reroll. Now, this was a game that had been sitting on my backlog since February of 2023, and I'm glad I finally got to it, as I really enjoyed it. I was really happy playing through it, and I think it's just a joy to go through, picking up the little things and exploring the different maps and noticing your Katamari getting bigger and bigger as you progress through the levels was just a unique experience. What was also unique was the way the game presented its exposition, which was very weird to say the least, but there's a charm to it that's hard to explain to y'all. But I really think this is a game everyone should play, especially when it comes around the price of around €5. You can just grab it, and then after you beat it, there's an endless mode you can go into and have a lot of fun. Even if you just want to watch YouTube videos, it's a really fun game to have in the background, just rolling up stuff while you do something else. And last but not least, I want to talk about Split Fiction. Now, I did not beat Split Fiction, but I did play it to help a friend of mine get some achievements. Now, I am really glad that I got the chance to play it, as now I'm really interested in playing it to completion or just to beat it in the future, because Split Fiction looks amazing and it plays really well. I was really glad for this friend of mine to lend me the Friends Pass to play with him and help him to get all the achievements or the trophies he needed to finish the game, and I'm really glad I got to experience what looks like a very amazing game. I got to experience some of the maps of the game, the amazing graphics, and all the amazing mechanics and interesting things they put into the game, so that's something I am now looking forward to in a near or distant future, who knows. And this was it for March, and I'm sorry if you feel like it went too fast, because even though I beat a lot of games, I felt like this was a pretty uneventful month, but I'm thinking of reworking the Backlog update series in the future, so keep posted on that, as I'm going to maybe change up the format a little bit. Make sure to subscribe so you still don't miss any of the content we're putting out. I have some very good ideas coming in a near future, and I want to work on more stuff for y'all. Make sure you like, as that only takes 1 second. Make sure to also leave a comment down below if you want to talk with me. And other than that, this has been the Retro Den, and I'm out.